Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to have a little bit of a look at, well, a new EX. It's Palossand EX, and I am more than delighted. I'm ecstatic. Because here's the thing, I'm sure I've mentioned on videos in the past, my 4-year-old son Archie, he likes Palossand. Nobody likes Palossand. Archie likes Palossand, and now we've got ourselves a Palossand V. And look, I'm probably going to overrate this card because of my love for Palossand. I also love ground-type Pokemon, so, you know, this Pokemon Palossand basically perfect for me. But I'm telling you right now, I do think this one could be pretty good. Because remember, we've had a fancy Palossand before. We had Palossand GX way back in the day in Celestial Storm. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves, and let's be clear, Palossand GX was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Way too expensive. Not good enough to put all of the stuff on there. It was just never going to work. Love the card. Really enjoyed it. Well, now we got Palossand EX. And fun little side note, 5-Man Graphics did the art for Palossand GX. And they're also doing the art for Palossand EX, which I find kind of fun. But what does it do, and why am I so excited about it? Well, first of all, we've got ourselves 280 HP, which is pretty high, frankly. Stage 1, nice. That's as much as Pidgeon. Pidgeon's a stage 2. First attack, not terribly impressed. Free colorless energy, 160. And during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon cannot retreat. It's not exactly a particularly exciting card. Yes, it's colorless energy, so you can use whatever energy acceleration you like. And if you're willing to take the minus 20 on the damage you do, you can use double turbo energy. It's fine. But stage 1, free energy, only doing 160, not even KOing weak support EXs. Like, you're not even KOing Squawkabilly if you use double turbo. You are if you don't, to be fair. But come on. If the best you can do is maybe Squawkabilly, I think we can do better. Although the stopping and retreating is alright, because at least then you can maybe 2-hit KO while stopping and retreating in the meantime. But the reason I'm excited about this card is the second attack. 1 water, 1 psychic, 1 fighting. Put damage counters on each of your opponent's bench Pokemon until they each have 100 HP remaining. Okay, now we're rolling. Basically, you put your opponent's entire board down to 100 HP remaining. And to answer the obvious question here, but I have seen some people ask it, so I will answer it quickly. If they've already got 100 HP or less, then nothing happens. You put everything down to 100. If they're already at 100 or less, you don't do anything. But the theory here very simply is that against non-EX decks, free energy, 160, and you got 280 HP, you're pretty tanky. And against EX decks, well, you put them all down to 100 HP remaining, and then you sit there and chuckle. Nah, not really. Essentially, Palossand at this point, you got 2 options. You put them all down to 100 HP remaining and then start using the first attack, but I think we can do better. You see, Palossand is a Pokemon made for dumb combos. Use Palossand, put them down to 100 HP remaining, and then get dumb. Okay, what combos have we got? Well, maybe first we should talk about the energy, because the energy is a pain. Look, this is a Pokemon that is a Stella Tera Pokemon. They have awkward attack costs. We know this by now. This isn't anything new. We also know there are a bunch of options. Sparkling Crystal will bring it down to a 2 energy attack, which is nice. Crispin is great here. And honestly, those 2 cards alone will do it. Because you can attack your Sparkling Crystal, and now it's a 2 energy attack. And then you play Crispin, which puts 1 energy on there and searches out the other to attach as your attachment for the turn. Boom. Done. Sorted. That will absolutely work. You're off and rolling. It is worth noting that as a big old Pokemon, Heavy Battle will work here. So when this gets KO'd, you should be able to then move that energy to a Pokemon that can appreciate it a little bit. So that is an option that we've got here as well. It is also worth noting we do have that new Terrapagos, the one that I showed you the other day, the one that for a single colorless energy will go and search out free energy from your deck and attach them to one of your Stella Tera Pokemon, not even Stella Tera, just Terra Pokemon. It's fine. It'll do. Yay. But I'm not sure. I mean, it is a single colorless energy to be fair, but it only actually attaches to Terra Pokemon. And Sandygast is not a Terra Pokemon, only Palossand is, so you have to use this after you evolve into Palossand, which becomes much more of an issue. But honestly, if you're dead set on using Palossand, and let's be 100% clear, I'm going to be testing this within an inch of its life, you're using Sparkling Crystal and Crispin. And there's other things you can play around with, but Sparkling Crystal and Crispin should get you there. You know, turn 1 attached to Sandygast, turn 2 Crispin, boom, off we go, off and rolling. So, I mentioned dumb combos. What dumb combos do we like here? My favourites with Dusknoir. I think this is great with Dusknoir. Because here's what I'm thinking, right? Dusknoir, you KO it, and it drops 13 damage counters. That's a lot. And you have to give up a prize, which is a pain. But here's the thing. I don't think that's really a problem. Like, let's assume you're playing against an EX deck. Again, against a non-EX deck, I don't think you can even use this second attack. You need other attackers. You need to be going with your first attack, tanking, and all of that. Or have other attackers ready to roll. But let's assume that you are against an EX deck. Well, give up 2 prizes, okay? Use Palossand, put 3 of your opponent's EXs down to 100 HP remaining. Then use free Dusknoir. And sure, you give up 3 more prizes, but as long as you've only given up 2 prizes, you KO your free Dusknoir, you've given up 5, that's fine. Your opponent hasn't won the game. But each of those Dusknoir is going to take 2 prizes. So you've taken 6 prizes, and if you've given up 5, who cares? There's no tiebreaker in the Pokemon TCG for who's given up the fewest prizes. Nah, mate. If you win, you win. I love this with Dusknoir. Now, obviously evolving up 3 Dusknoir in quick succession, their stage 2's gonna be a bit of a pain, I'm gonna be honest with ya. But, you know, it is as it is. And annoyingly, Grand Tree would be great for doing that. But obviously, I'm kind of dead set on using Sparkling Crystal here, and A-Specs are 1 per deck. But you can see where we're going here with Dusknoir. Essentially, go heavy on your Dusknoir, and put your opponent in a situation where it really doesn't matter what they do. You put them all down to 100 HP, and then either they get them off the board, they heal them up, and not both of those things are always going to be possible, or you just win the game with Dusknoir. I adore this. This is brilliant and lovely. And the reality is, you know, I talk about using free Dusknoir, and that's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. But you're only ever actually going to need 2, because if you've got free energy on Palossand, attack with it. To take 1 of the KOs, use Dusknoir for the other 2. And because you're going to be going Dusknoir all over the place here, Counter Catcher's going to work really rather lovely. So you don't even need to worry about gusting something into the active to attack Palossand. I think Dusknoir is where we've got the most chance here. But I'm not out of dumb combos yet. How about Kyurem? Now, one of the biggest issues with Kyurem is Manaphy. It is very much worth noting that your Palossand here will get around Manaphy. Manaphy will not be able to block you because Manaphy blocks damage. Now, I suppose this might be the point where I have to sheepishly mention that Jirachi does stop damage counters, and that is a little bit of a pain, but Manaphy will also block Kyurem, which is a problem. But if your opponent doesn't get a Manaphy down, and I'm seeing less Manaphy nowadays, I'm going to be honest with you, well, Kyurem comes in, does 110 to 3 different Pokemon, there's your 3 KOs, you've won the game, job's a good 'un. There is also Greninja EX, But Greninja WRECKS is, it's only taking 2 KOs, and I really want to try and get 3 at the same time. Don't get me wrong, Kyurem's attack cost is super awkward and annoying, but, even Greninja's isn't perfect, to be honest with you. Now, Kyurem, there will be those games where your opponent puts Takoras in a discard pile, but I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that getting the energy onto Kyurem here is probably going to be more annoying than just getting multiple Dusknoir out. As a side note, if your Palossand gets KO'd with your heavy baton attached to it, that will pay 2 of the 5 energy on Kyurem, the water, and then 1 of them will count as a colorless, but you'll still need another water and 2 more metal, and it's just getting super awkward. I don't think Kyurem's actually going to work. But what about another Stella Tera Pokemon? What about Flygon? And I'm not seeing many people mentioning Flygon as an option here, but it may well be because that was in Paradise Dragona, which isn't out here yet. But it does mean that it's going to be in Surging Sparks just like Palossand. These will be coming out in the same set. And what we've got from Flygon here is an attack for 1 water, 1 fighting, and 1 metal energy. Which, okay, it's not the same as Palossand, but if Palossand, with heavy baton gives it a water and a fighting, you just need a metal. Yes, I'm fully aware that's 4 different types of energy, but you're playing stuff like Crispin, it's going to be fine. And it's a stage 2, but it does 100 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. So, if you attack with these 2 Pokemon back-to-back against an EX deck, you win the game. Just like flat out win the game, no issues. I love this. Now, it's going to be awkward, a stage 1 and a stage 2, and the energy's awkward, but basically you're playing a Crispin deck here. Now, you might be going to Terrapagos, you're definitely going Sparkling Crystal, and you're relying quite heavily on Crispin, alright? That's just the deal here. But if you attack with these 2 Pokemon back-to-back, you win the game in 2 turns. And that's what I love. I think there is a chance with Flygon. I think Dusknoir is probably the most likely thing to actually work. But because we've got ways to pay for these Stella Tera Pokemon, and because we've got options for taking out the other Pokemon, I honestly think there's a chance here with Palossand. I'm giving it 4 Wassies. And I warned you at the start of the video, I'm probably going to overrate it because I love Palossand. Don't care. I am all in on this Palossand. I will be getting the full art in English and Japanese, and if there's a special illustration rare, and you better believe I'm crossing my fingers hard for a special illustration rare, I'll be getting that in English and Japanese as well. I will be testing this until it is proven for a fact it's not going to work. But I think it can. I also want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Zarek Peris, who's one of our newer patrons and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.